Dead guy quotes. This is the quote. This is from Rumi, 13th century poet. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself.
Ooh, deep. Say it one more time slowly for all the dumb farmers that are listening.
Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself.
It's actually very connected to our reading about anger.
Anger? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I love this quote because, I mean, I very much identify it, and something I'm still learning, but I think I've done a lot of learning in is if I do actually want to change the world, I do it by changing myself, by working on myself. You cannot change anybody else. And there's so many things in this world or about other people that can easily frustrate us. And we think, especially when we're younger, I think, just go out there and say, I'm going to, go fix these people, and we
change how they think about things.
Change how they think about things, whatever it is. And it doesn't work. It's not effective. And I think it is wisdom to say, hey, no, I'm going to work on myself and my own character flaws or whatever it is. And I really believe when you do that
whenever you say quotes like that, it makes me not want to do the podcast.
That's good. Wisdom.
Well,
but I mean, you would say,
I would say it's wrong to talk publicly, but
I would say
I've done a lot of work on myself.
Yeah.
There's still a lot more to do yet, unfortunately.
You don't do freedom sessions 7 times or 8 times, whatever it is, and not work on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still feel really convicted about things like, you bug me about the whole spending time with family, but it's just been even weighing on me in the last days as friends of mine are struggling with their children and there's some really, really serious stuff going on. It's like, oh man, am I spending enough time where it really matters? Wife and kids. And everything else, you get so many more pats on the back for almost everything else that you do, right? But yet the most important area of ministry for men and women, I guess, but is in our home, right? So
it's also something you mentioned to me a lot too when we started hanging out was like, stop. I think you would say, yeah, you're great at helping other people. You need not worry about that. You got your own crap to deal with.
Yeah, it's the old analogy of the mask dropping down, right? On the plane, right? Just put your own on. Put yours on first.
Yeah, get help yourself work. Yeah, the analogy is if you don't know it is on a plane, if you flown anywhere and they tell you the safety briefing, if the masks come down, to always put on, if you have a kid with you, to put on your own mask first before you put on your kid's mask. And the analogy is take care of yourself and then you're able to
or you won't be able to care for your family if you're not doing well, right? And there's thousands of examples of that in all of our lives, right? Where people are not looking after their marriage and then their kids end up suffering. So they're all worried about their kids. Well, no, first it would start with yourself and then your spouse and then your kids. Well, we don't necessarily do things in that order, right? We tend to the kids have a problem. Well, no, your marriage, I always tell that to my kids when we're often, I'm kind of shorting them or I'm saying, hey, this bedtime's short. Well, it's like your mom and I have not spent enough time and that is my primary goal. And I think that's healthy. And kids feel safe when their parents are doing well, right? So it's like, how do you create that in your home?
And even things just like having great, once you learn to have grace for yourself and your own mistakes and don't demand perfection from yourself, like I'm a perfectionist and I try to I need to be better, better. Then I also project that on other people or project it on my kids, especially, right? These are the people that are closest to you and how unhelpful it is. And how do I fix that? I learned to be more gracious towards my kids, but also learning to be gracious towards myself and forgive myself for my failings, whatever. And then you can forgive others. And I think it all comes back to yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because along the lines of the quote, I've always wanted to make a difference. And then for years, just floundered, like early 2000s all the way, probably really till 2010 or maybe even longer later. And then it's like, well, then when you are working on yourself and you get healthy, it's amazing how God just starts to kind of bring these opportunities into your life where people are asking you to do things or be involved in things that I never even would have dreamt that I would have been a part of, right? So it's pretty interesting.
Or you have an impact where you don't even realize.
Yeah.
And you just have no idea. You find out years later that you said something or whatever. But I mean, often we don't even have, if you don't work on yourself, you're usually doing something unhealthy and then you don't even have the capacity to help others because.
Yeah, so this is a rabbit trail, but there was somebody that's pretty close to me, great guy, was doing some online gambling, and I don't know how many people are into that, but I mean, there's a lot of betting ads.
Sports betting, or
sports betting, and fascinating, and obviously remain unnamed, but just interesting how, and then was worried about the website seemed a bit sketchy and wasn't sure they were going to get their money back, and it's fascinating how, first of all, you could. Obviously, most people would think that, hey, sports betting probably isn't the greatest thing to be doing and probably have a lot of rationale for that. And personally, I used to gamble. I used to play a lot of poker online and at casinos when I was younger.
What's the most amount of money you've ever won and lost?
I don't remember. I would have lost probably like in one night, maybe $7,000 at one point playing at the 2-5 table.
You remember that night?
Yeah, but I have an amazing ability to hunker down and take crap and abuse. And when you have that personality, that's dangerous when you're gambling. And like I was milking for $25 an hour at the time, so like I would go milk for like 8 hours, make $200, and then go drop $4,000 at the casino, right? Like total disaster. Some nights I won 3 or 4 or 5,000. I don't remember what the most I ever won was, but
I guess that's why it's addicting.
That's why it's addicting. And where I was going with that is, first of all, I ended up banning. This is how crazy I was. I banned myself from casinos in BC. Like you can do a self-exclusion ban and you can ban yourself for 3 months. You go into the private room at the back of this casino and you just go back there and you say, hey, I got a problem. So I knew I had a problem. Like I was just smart enough to know I had a problem. Then, and I'm like, hey, I can't be coming back here. So I banned myself.
From that particular one or all casinos?
No, all casinos in BC.
So you have to show your ID when you go to a casino?
You do now. It's even more, but they also have facial recognition in all their cameras. And like, there's guys wearing costumes at the table for a reason to like hide themselves. Like, okay. I don't know if you've seen that, but like there's guys wearing wigs to get in to get past the ban and all that, right? And sunglasses. So they're pretty sticky about that. They're checking. So I did that. This is, early 2000s. And then, you know what I did? I started driving across the border and going to play poker down in Nooksack. So like, and I get done a night milking at 1 a.m. and drive, like just bizarre, right? And then work all day unloading hay, totally dysfunctional. And the biggest issue is probably the online thing. And so that's what made me think of it. And then I ended up having to sell a townhouse. Like I had a huge amount of gambling debt. So I sold the townhouse back in like 2006 or something or 7, I can't remember. Paid off all my gambling debt. And since then I haven't made a habit of visiting the casinos to play poker, but it's interesting. So the gambling piece is one piece, but the actual issue or the heart issue for me has always been time, right? And obviously the money piece is like, we're supposed to steward our money well. And is that how God would want to steward our money? Obviously not. But even the time thing where like, let's say you were making money. Let's say all I ever did was make money and I made a good living. And this is where it gets complicated. Some people would be like, well, that's his living. That's what he does for a living. But for me, it was like, you come out of and this is extreme, right? Where I'm using an example of being somebody playing poker for 8 or 10 hours or slot machines or whatever. You come out of the casino, they keep it status quo in that building. So when you come out, it could be broad daylight and you feel like you've been nighttime. Like it's really weird. And I just felt convicted so many times over the years of like, man, I'm like, this is not a good use of my time. Why am I doing this with my time? Right. And it's the same thing with the online thing now, where the young guys like, how much attention, let's say you're doing sports betting, how much energy and attention are you spending, pouring yourself into to study teams, know the odds, do your homework. And there again, is there anything wrong with following the sports? I mean, there again, some people would debate that. There's probably nothing wrong with watching soccer, but like,
the difference
what are we worshiping,
difference it makes
right?
if you go read a good book or
just help people. There's just a lot of people that need a lot of help, right? Or just, anyway, so it was just that's what made, I don't know how I got onto that.
I was watching a little clip yesterday from a comedian. I can't remember who he was. He was talking to Daily Dad on the podcast that they have. And he was saying how so many of the comedian friends go do more and more and more tours, are making more and more money. He goes, who do you meet or when do you hear of someone on their deathbed when they're 80, 90 saying, I wish I would have made more money? They always say, I wish I would have spent more time with my family, all of them. And how often do we still find ourselves in that position of wanting more and more and more when that's just not what it gets us? It just gives us a temporary hit, so we can escape. Because it is sometimes hard to just sit, and be present. And
it is hard. Oh.
Okay, next. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help. If you're interested in doing that, you can create more content and improving the quality of the content. Subscribe to the podcast. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show?